So it looks like B. Scott has another exclusive in regards to what we can expect for the Real Housewives of Atlanta newest season. And that includes more beef between Marlo Hampton and Kandi Burruss. And you might be interested to find out how low Kandi will go. And it doesn't end there. There is another secret recording this season, and apparently it's another housewife admitting hooking up
with another housewife?
Let's get into some Real Housewives of Atlanta tea. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. We are back in the studio, and we are happy to be here. I'm happy to be here just because, you know, it's just used to the technology and the edit. It's just a lot easier in the studio. I'm not upset that I went on a little mini vacation. Stay tuned, more's to come. But I do want to say congratulations to B. Scott on being featured on The Breakfast Club today and tomorrow. They are killing it, and they dropped some exclusive tea. So before we get into that, again, congratulations to B. Scott. You guys know B. Scott was one of the very first to embrace what we do here and have us on their platform. So shout out to B. Scott. And you know we always cite our sources. So go to the description of this video so you can see the full situation. But I'm going to go to lovebscott.com to get into this tea. So B. Scott dropped some exclusive tea and some shade at Bravo. Okay, so B talked about a few things. Their relationship with NeNe Leakes and where that went wrong. For those of you that don't remember this, just rewind your elephant brains back to the beef that began between B. Scott and NeNe. And part of that beef was because NeNe on the show denied knowing B. Scott. And B said on The Breakfast Club, we've known each other for a very long time. We've hung out for a very long time. B still refers to NeNe as their friend. However, what I found to be really interesting was that Charlamagne mentioned that I guess NeNe is also here in New York City. And sidebar, New York is hot. Is that why I lost power a couple of times today? Back to this. So apparently NeNe is also in New York, and I don't know if she called herself or her people. Does she still have people? Called to get her on The Breakfast Club again this week. But they're booked. You can't just, oh, I'm in town, let me come up and host. They plan these situations out weeks in advance. This says a lot about NeNe. But B. Scott talks about their friendship and why that friendship ended. But B also celebrates what NeNe brought to Bravo and threw some shade at Bravo. Said, you know, I'm not saying what NeNe said was wrong about Bravo. She just went about it the wrong way. The shade, the shade, the shade. But let's get into everything else in regards to the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15. I can't believe it's season 15 of Atlanta. So some of you have been on the fence about what is the season going to bring. We're getting back Monyetta as a friend of. We're getting Courtney as a new friend of. And all of the housewives from last season are back. And apparently the beef between Marlo Hampton and Kandi is far from over. So B writes this. B. Scott is heating up The Breakfast Club with some more piping hot tea during their 2-day co-hosting stint alongside Charlamagne and DJ Envy. B. Scott shared more exclusive details on what viewers can expect from the upcoming season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, which premieres on May 7th. So speaking to The Breakfast Club, B. Scott gave even more insight as to what went down between Kandi Burruss and Marlo Hampton and why things between them escalated so quickly. According to B. Scott, Marlo brought up the shootings that took place at Kandi's restaurant. You remember when Kandi's cousin, when we met on Kandi and the Gang, the chef, when he was shot by one of his coworkers? Remember that? But you all tell me that the streets in Atlanta have been hot for a while now, since the pandemic. So according to B, Marlo brings up the shooting that happened at Kandi's restaurant. And in return, Kandi brought up Marlo's criminal history. Kandi even went as far as to mention the woman Marlo slashed in the face who eventually ended her life. Fast forward to the lady's cash trip to Portugal, B. Scott reveals there is a recording that surfaces of one of the ladies talking about another kissing someone. Who do you think it is? First of all, remember we had Mimi from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta drop that picture of Drew and her on-again, off-again fiance, the basketball player. Yeah. And we were all like, Mimi, what are you saying here? Because all she did was put that up and the song by Ice Spice. And we've been waiting. What exactly here? This all came out right after Drew announced her divorce from that man. So apparently we have another situation where there is a recording. However, I hope I can say this. I'm going to say it anyway, because I don't think it's saying too much. The recording is real. The recording is real, and trust and believe, according to sources, it exists. And people have seen, well, okay, I'm not going to say anymore. It exists. That's all I'm going to say. It's not like what we've heard about before when Nene said, oh, it's a recording, it's an audio, it's a... No, it exists. Fast forward, okay? The ladies take this cash trip to Portugal. B. Scott reveals that there's a recording that surfaces of one of the ladies talking about another kissing someone. But who is it? Look, based off the cast that we have now, I know Sheree is known as the bone collector, but I also don't see Sheree recording anyone without them knowing. I don't feel like that's how Sheree moves, unless she's become really desperate at this point to save her job. And this is coming at the, producer telling you better work this season. But I still just don't see Sheree doing something like that. You know who I see actually doing something like that?
Marlo.
Because Marlo is more desperate than anyone to keep her peach. She threw a whole situation celebrating her peach last season. And we all said she doesn't deserve to come back as a peach holder. But, Andy and them don't like to end someone as a housewife without giving them a second opportunity. And maybe she'll bring it this season. But I haven't heard really anything in regards to Marlo this season until now. So Marlo has this beef with Kandi. And apparently someone has a recording. And who is this recording of? Well, again, I remind you about what Mimi from Love and Hip Hop brought up on social media. Now I'm wondering, is this recording about Drew Sidora? Is this Drew Sidora admitting something? Kandi has been very open. Kandi just was on her podcast talking about, they just had her and Todd just had a threesome, I think last month. I appreciate her transparency. I'm not talking about my sex life on here. But look, I appreciate her transparency. So I just don't see someone recording Kandi saying anything like this, and Kandi would be like, it was me. So unless she was bringing this up on the podcast in order to sort of just get ahead of the story, maybe. But I honestly believe the only other person that I think that might record another housewife would be Drew. Because Drew's up with those reindeer games. Drew, I'm going to try and be light on you this season because I feel for you, girl. You and that man going through the divorce. I'm going to try and go light, but I might not. No promises, Drew. But I wouldn't put it past her to record someone. But I have a feeling she was the one that was recorded. What do you guys think? We can talk more about this. I will be going live for a special Thirsty Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, talking about Vanderpump Rules, talking about Andy Cohen being upset with a few people. People are now calling Giselle anti-Semitic for some comments that she made on her podcast. We have a lot to cover, and we're going to talk some of the shows that we haven't been able to talk about while I was on vacation, including the SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B. So I'll see you guys at 5:30. Let me know your thoughts on this Real Housewives of Atlanta tea. And be sure to head on over to lovebscott.com for the full story and video of B. Scott dropping all of this information. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.
Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse, you make a fire.